in 2005, this huge global scare with SARS, the severe acute respiratory syndrome, when people were dying in Hong Kong and the Far East, and some cases even came to New York. That SARS in 2005 was caused by a coronavirus, which is a cousin to this virus, this coronavirus, that causes COVID. So from 2005, they have been working on trying to get an effective vaccine to the SARS virus, and which also has a spike protein. And when the MERS epidemic came, this is the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, developed, in 2012, there were a number of cases, and that stimulated more research. So when the Chinese, in January of last year, identified the actual sequence of the genetic makeup of the coronavirus that causes COVID, and they made it publicly available to the scientific community, within 1 week, a German company had produced a test which we use here to identify whether you have been infected with the COVID virus. It's the PCR test that we are using. It was developed 1 week after the virus was sequenced. And those vaccine scientists who were working on the SARS vaccine now, they just took the sequence that they got from the COVID virus and changed up their vaccine work a little bit and produced candidate vaccines in weeks. And then they had to take that vaccine and put it in clinical trials, 3 different stages, in animals, in a few, say, healthy adults to make sure it was safe, and then they put it in the trials with thousands of people. And these are the results that we are hearing about. It's not overnight. It is over 15 years. All the vaccines that have been reviewed so far are both effective and safe. It's not a live vaccine. It uses what we call a vector. They take the shell of a virus, a common cold virus, adenovirus, simply to get that into the body's system and into the immune system cells. And within that, there is a mimic of the spike protein, something just made that's similar to the spike protein, that then induces in the human a response that helps to protect us against the coronavirus itself that causes the COVID disease. Now, this is technology that has been used many times in terms, so it's a traditional platform. There is no adjuvant, there is no harmful material in the vaccine, and the material in the vaccine that goes into the cells is rapidly broken down and removed by the body through normal methods. Now, how do we know it is safe? It is put in trials, thousands of persons, and what you do is you give the vaccine to some people, and you give a placebo. In other words, something that does not have the vaccine, just a simple saline injection or equivalent. And you compare the side effects, and you can see that the only side effects that we've been seeing that are of any significance are like a swollen arm, a little fever, headache, tiredness, and these usually go within 24 hours. Now, why it's so important to have this comparison group that you give the placebo is because in every population, you will find that people develop different conditions from time to time. So you can compare these conditions that arise, including severe conditions that arise in those who did not get the vaccine and those who get the vaccine. And you can see that there is a similar pattern of these conditions that arise. But in the people who get the vaccine, there are signs, the response of the body, the little fever, headache, and the local reaction tells you that the body is responding to the vaccine and developing the antibodies and the cells that protect you against the COVID. There are very few cases of severe COVID requiring hospitalization in persons who are vaccinated. These vaccines are very effective and safe. When you get the vaccine, the body has to respond to it. So if you get exposed within the next week, it means that you could still become infected. So you still have to keep on your mask, maintain physical distancing. Now, the AstraZeneca vaccine, it takes on average, I would say, 2 to 4 weeks for you to really begin to develop good immunity. And then you get your second dose after 4 to 12 weeks. And that immunity shows to be very, very good, because among the persons who have 2 doses, very few of them got the COVID, very few of them. But even after 1 dose, you could see where after a few weeks, persons were protected from COVID, but the protection was not as full as when you got the second dose. Vaccine trials have shown they have been taking place on all continents, and we have now in trials tested the vaccine in hundreds of thousands of people.
These are very safe vaccines, and we don't anticipate any adverse reaction. The drug companies working through the COVAX arrangement that the WHO, World Health Organization, has coordinated, have said that the countries that are accessing the vaccines should sign an indemnity to essentially rid them of liability should anything happen. And that was a basis on which we would access the vaccine. The fact is that the process of getting to a vaccine, which the WHO would have validated, as was said earlier by Dr. Figueroa, gives us the comfort that we are getting a good product, a safe product. We recognize, because of the emergency approval process, why they would take this position. And what the government has done in response to that, or is doing in response, the government clearly will have to take on that responsibility. And so the Attorney General's Chamber, having gone through a process of discussion within the cabinet, would make necessary legal arrangements to meet those requirements. But at the same time, as a government, we clearly appreciate and understand that we have an obligation to our citizens. So we say to citizens, there is no need to fear. This is a safe product.